All right, so this is called Introduction to Programming Practice Quiz for Chapter 2, but you'll do it in AP as well. So I'm going to give this to you with instruction on how to do it. My hope is that you do this on your own first, and then you'd come back and watch this video for clarification on anything you missed, because I'm going to give you the answers at the bottom. So you can check your work here, and you can watch my video to any sort of clarification. So how do you end a statement? So a statement would be kind of like system.out.println, and inside there I could say hello world. How is this statement ended? It's ended with a semicolon. So it's semicolon. So all statements, you'll notice, like right off the bat, if you look at your program, if it's ending with a semicolon, it's a statement. Okay. Methods. Example of that would be like was like the name and box program that we wrote. So public void display name in box. So all methods have an opening and closing parentheses right here, and later on we'll get into passing parameters and everything, but for now just know that you open and close a method. You can identify a method with the parentheses. Whoops, and that's actually this one, part 3. So I was reading the wrong one, sorry about that. So I'll paste that right there. So instead, this one will be a method. So with your eyes, you can easily scan down a program and look and see what the methods are just by the opening closing parentheses. Now, what is a method? A method is anything that does something. It's how do I want to explain it? It's like a collection of statements. Is a collection of statements that performs a task. Okay, so like in a bank account program. So what can you do at a bank? You can deposit money, you can withdraw money. So when you deposit, your deposit would be, it's an action word. It's going to perform a task, and that's going to add money to your account. Withdraw is another verb action word. That would be another method, and that would subtract money from your account. So whenever a task that you need to do is performed, that method is called, and it runs your code that you're gonna do. Okay. So what is the difference between system.out.print and println? If you go back and watch like the name in box and display hexagon, that's the hello world and skeleton video. Print will print everything. So system.out.print prints everything inside the parentheses, and the cursor is at the end of what prints. System.out.println, it prints everything inside the parentheses, and the cursor goes to the beginning of the new line right below. Okay, so that's best seen in practices below, which I'll get to in a second. So give me a minute and I'll get to these, and we can see the difference between this print and then the println and what it does. Get some water here. What is needed to start a class? or method and close a class or method. So always when you start a class, so public class, what do they call it? Hello world. That opening brace. Okay, so a brace, and then at the end you've got the closing brace. So I'll say opening brace, and then this is your closing brace. So when you scan up and down your page, you can go, now when we write our rinky-dink programs in here, you can see everything on one page. So you can see where the hello world opens and it closes. But when we've got really big programs, and we're not going to see them in this class, I mean, maybe you'll have some sizable programs, but like in industry, when you've got programs that are like 1,000 lines long, you have to make sure everything lines up properly so it's easy for your eye to scan down as you drag your program all the way down the screen. And you want to know, okay, my opening brace was right here and it lines up here. Where's my closing brace at the end of the program all the way down here? Oh, it's right here, let's say. I mean, I'm just kind of doing an example because I don't have a 1,000-line program in front of me, but you want to make sure that this right here, this PM public, would open or would line up with this closing brace down here, okay? And you need to make sure you have an opening and closing. And the method's the same way. A method would go inside it. That's why when you saw this, it was tabbed over. So like public void display hello world, okay? I got my opening brace there, and then I got some code, and then I've got my closing brace there. So these line up with your eyes, so I know that it opens, the class opens here and ends here, and this method opens here and closes there. Okay. Okay, why is it important to use proper spacing? That's basically what I just told you right here. When you tab over, I know that this method is inside this class, and that just is easy on the eye. So you're gonna have to get used to using your tab button. So proper white spacing makes it easy to read the code. Okay, 6, what did I put down here as the answer, so you can easily read through your program. Okay, silly string code where everything's not lined up properly is like impossible to read, and if I'm debugging any of your code, that's the first thing I do is I line everything up so I can read it. What is a comment? So there's 2 types of comments. This is a and this is a multi-line comment. Okay, sorry. So single line comments will comment all the code out. The compiler doesn't read the comment. Remember, that's what it does. It allows the user to put in English language to describe what like an entire method does. Because you could have a method that, again, that's like 1,000 lines of code. In a programmer, if like in Microsoft, if the program was already built 5 years ago and now they're going back to revamp it and add in some new stuff, the new programmer that's going to do that wants to be able to look and read what that method does without having to like test every single thing that program does. So you need to be able to write in English in comments what certain parts of the program does. Now, you may have multi-line comments. Now, kids get this confused. You can have a multi-line comment on a single line. That's fine, but usually what you see is something like this, where you got like, this is the start of my multi-line comment. blah, 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 blah. Everything in here is commented out by the compiler, and then this right there closes it. So this type of comment can be used over multiple lines. And so instead of having to put that on every single line, you know, they just came up with this so that you can start it and then close it. Let's see here, escape sequences that we use. Sometimes they're the most common. You got -n, which creates a new line. So you can create a new line inside your system.out.println. So like something like this. So system.out.print, and if you had like hello -n world, the output for that would look like this. It would say hello, and then it would hit this -n, and it would go to the new line. It would print world right there. Okay. The other one that we typically see is -t, and this is a tab. And these are kind of nice too, because let's say you were trying to build like a form, and on your form you wanted everything to be tabbed out perfectly. So you could have system.out.println, and you could have something like, you know, that, whoops, the header of your form could look like, you know, you got name -t, you know, something like, yeah, maybe we do something like this. Go like first name, last name, phone number, okay, dash address, let's say. And so the header would would say name, and then you'd have a tab over, and then, whoops, it'd be first name, and then it would tab over, right? And then you'd have last name, and then it would tab over, and it would say phone, and it would phone number, and tab over. Now the problem with tabs is, well, it should do a full tab, and then it would say address. And what that would do then, it would create, you know, a tab in between each of them. Now Word's, you know, doing it for me, which is kind of annoying, but this would create like, if you wanted everything in your report and you had your header up there, it would tab everything over to its proper spot, because like everybody's names are going to be a different space, and your phone numbers would be the same, but your addresses would be different, and so you want to have something that would systematically tab over for your proper spacing. So an object is anything real. Okay. I think the best example I gave for that was like, so like the planet isn't something real. A planet would be a class. Okay, and I'm kind of answering this in 9 and 10. So just go with 9 and 10 here. So a planet would be considered a class because there is no such thing as planet. Okay, a planet is an idea of something. A planet is an idea of something real. Okay, so that would be a class. So your class is like a set of blueprints. Okay, the object is what's created from the class. So we could create the planet Earth. So Earth is something real. So your object Earth is real. Okay, so I can create it from my template class. Okay, from my planet class. All right, so that's really the difference between object and class. And I don't know what I wrote down here, but let's look. An object is something real created from a class. Objects call the class. Okay, I forgot that. The objects call the class's method. So let's say we wanted to you know, set the Earth's gravity. We could set that calculation or whatever, or what the Earth's gravity is, and we could get the Earth's gravity. A class is like a set of blueprints. It isn't real, but it is used so that an object can be built from it. So we build our objects from our classes. All right. So your programming test, a lot of it will look like this. And so do you know what the output of this is? So I'm not going to do it like, ideally this would be in class, you would write this out on paper, right? But since this is in the computer, like every time I type like that, I mean, I guess that's okay. I can do something like that. So let's just actually I'm just use blank lines. So this would print Von Miller, and then since it's on the same line, print, that's where my cursor ends. All right, and then it would print Demarius Thomas right next to it. There's no spaces. My cursor ended at the end of the R in Von Miller, and then it goes to the next line and prints Demarius Thomas. Okay. Okay, next one. This would print Von Miller, and then it's got a dash n, so it'd be a new line. So I'd press, it would go enter, and then another one, enter, and then a dash T, tab over, and it would do Demarius Thomas. Okay, so it looks something like this. Now, when you have your tests in class or quizzes in class, you'd have to write it out like this. Okay, I need to see, that you did, one line and then the next line. If you wrote it up here, Demarius Thomas, on this line, I wouldn't give you credit, because you would tell me that you don't see or you don't know what these dash n's do, because I have two of them in here clearly. So it goes one line and then two lines right here, and then the dash T. So another thing, like, you can't put it right there. That would tell me you don't know what a dash T tab does. So I need to see you scoot it over there, so that would indicate that you know what the dash T does. Okay. And then finally, this would print Von Miller. And then what happens is it reads this first, which is a dash N. Dash N. Once this is done, the method is at the very end. It's an ln method, so it would go here, and then it would do another new line, and then it would print Demarius Thomas. Okay, so you'd have to write it out like this, where you've got one enter button and a second one to get to that next line down there. All right, and so I wrote it out like this down here, and you can see it's the same thing. So anyway, study this. Make sure that you could do this on your own. Again, I know this is online, but in class we would have done this with paper. So if I were you, I would print this document out and write everything down, and then come to the video for clarification if the written instruction doesn't make sense. Okay, so